Greetings to Miss Izati. This is my macroeconomics project. Our topic is unemployment. So I shall start now. What is unemployment? Unemployment occurs when a person is actively searching for jobs but is unable to find work. Unemployment is often used as a measurement of the health of the company, which means that it is used as an indication to see how good the economy is. Most frequent measures of unemployment is the unemployment rate, which is I would explain what the unemployment rate later, but for now, labor force is also referred to as the workforce, but with high employment comes with a lot of cons, because high employment leads to an increase in crime rates, increase in family breakups, increase in suicide rates because unable to find jobs, which lead them being poor, reduce self-esteem in a person's, and will increase greater financial hardship, which means it's harder for them to loan or borrow money from the bank. So formulas of the unemployment consist of total unemployed person over labor force multiplied by 100, and the labor force participation rate formula is labor force over age 16 or overpopulation multiplied by 100. Alright, so I shall jump to the causes of unemployment. The causes of unemployment is that there is rapid changes in technology, which means capital goods are overtaking humans in terms of working, because machines don't need rest and humans need rest. Causes of unemployment: recession creates unemployment because recession is a period of time where people are not willing to spend a lot, which leads to less people employed. Another one was inflation. Inflation causes unemployment because when there is inflation, it means that there a hike in price, which means prices will be really expensive and people will not spend so much. Same case as recession. And disabilities. If a person is disabled, chances of them getting a job is a lot more harder compared to a normal person. Another reason for unemployment is the ability to look for jobs. Sometimes if the country is too overpopulated, then looking for jobs may be really difficult because there's a lot of people trying to get jobs at the same time as everyone's basically competing for jobs. Thank you, and there's my part.
Hi, I'm here to talk about the types of unemployment. The first one is cyclical unemployment. Cyclical unemployment is the most severe and harmful types of unemployment, and it occurs due to lack of demand. And when aggregate demand decreases, business activities, productivity, economic growth, and labor decreases, and hence cyclical unemployment increases. The second one is seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment occurs due to any festive seasons throughout the year. For example, during a certain festival seasons throughout the year, some products are relatively high in demand, and so more shop assistants are needed, so more laborers are needed, and hence seasonal unemployment decreases. And hardcore unemployment. Hardcore unemployment occurs due to any sort of health problems, including drug addicts or any sort of mental or physical handicap. Hidden unemployment occurs due to people giving up the active search for jobs because of declining job opportunities, but these people are excluded from unemployment statistics. Last but not least is the structural unemployment. Structural unemployment occurs due to problems with the economy. First one is displacement of labor by technology, increased cost of employing labor, as well as technological change and consumer preference. For displacement of labor by technology is when technology increases, less labor is needed, and hence economic growth decreases, and also structural unemployment increases. Second is increased cost of employing labor. The cost of employing labor long term is very expensive, so business would prefer capital intensive over labor intensive. When capital intensive is introduced, productivity increases, but employees are made redundant. The last one is technological change and consumer preference, and unemployment rate fluctuates due to consumer preference. So if consumer preference is on one business and more labor is needed for that business.
I'm here to talk about few effects of unemployment. The first effects of unemployment is business failure and decreased confidence. When unemployment rate increase, the income, demand, consumption, production and supply will decrease. And other than that, business failures will increase. The second effects of unemployment is the opportunity cost of welfare, which is our basic needs like clothes, water, food, shelter, and employment benefits spent instead of infrastructure. And the third effects of unemployment is because of social costs, which is unemployed, income decrease, consumption decrease, and self-esteem will decrease. Another effects of unemployment is inflation and efficient labor supply, which is out of work, less relevant, and because of this, efficiency, productivity, supply will decrease, and employment rate will increase. And another effects of unemployment is growth and living standard. For example, income, consumption, skills, efficiency, productivity, GDP, and others will decrease. Another effect is worker lost skills. When someone doesn't get a job for quite some time, they will lose their skill eventually. They will not be good as last time, and they will need to pay for some extra training fees to increase their skills. Another effect is income distribution. When employment rate increase, income, saving, and their living standard will decrease. Another effect is cost to the government. It increased in government expenditure because they need to provide benefits to the unemployed. For example, subsidies, which are our transports, buses, train, and they need to hire workers, training, and also investment. Another effect, the last effect, is wastage of resources. Employed of labor and other resources represent unsent. When wastage of resources increase, GNP and GDP will decrease. And when unemployment rate increases, wastage of resources will also increase. Thank you, that's all.
Hi, today I'm going to talk about how can unemployment rate be increasing while the economy is still growing. Well, the participation rate may be growing at a faster rate than the job vacancies. This is due to the discouraged job seekers that they are resuming their active search for jobs, and the other reason is that economic growth, which is occurring maybe not in non-labor intensive areas, and the other is the continuing pace of technology development. And the example for technology development are for example, like factories, they are using machineries to take over many people job in their production line because it's more efficient and also cheaper. That's why while technology are growing, their machines are being created to take over jobs because it's more efficient, right? And the other reason for this situation of unemployment rate that is increasing while the economy is still growing is usually happens during the initial or early recovery phase in the economy, and the early recovery happens after the economy faces a recession, and recession is where the economy business cycle contracts significantly and has a slowdown in the economy. And one more reasons are productivity basically means like more output per person, that it yields economic growth, not necessarily the number of workers. For example, like it doesn't mean more workers means more productivity. Maybe there's a few efficient workers are better in productivity than more workers, so they can pull out more productivity than the certain amount of workers that are more than the efficient workers that they have. So it doesn't mean, basically in conclusion, more workers doesn't mean more productivity, but if there's efficient workers, lesser efficient workers, it may overcome the higher productivity of the more workers that are working. Right, that's basically all. And right, the next thing I'm going to talk about, the next topic is the government action to increase AD, which means aggregate demand. And the government will use two policies, and the two policies are fiscal policy and monetary policy. The first one, fiscal policy. Fiscal policy basically means where the government increase their spending, and by increasing the government spending, it will increase the consumption, investment, and export. Hence, the AD will increase. And the next one, the decrease in personal income tax would increase the household disposable income. Hence, the household people will use more and consumption will increase. Hence, the AD will increase. And they encourage investment by reducing company tax and sales tax. By reducing company tax and sales tax, the big businesses and big corporates will start to invest in many areas because there are less tax to pay and it's cheaper for them, so they will take the advantage to invest, right? And the next policy is monetary policy. The monetary policy is by reducing the interest rate and increase the availability of credit to encourage consumption and investment through the expansionary monetary policy. The expansionary monetary policy is to reduce, the main thing is to reduce inflation. Therefore, by doing this, the aggregate demand will increase and the GDP will increase too. The next one is macroeconomic reform. Basically is MER, macroeconomic reformation. And the first one, there's two, labor market reformation and industry. The first one, labor market reform, is to increase the labor market productivity as an essential ingredient for sustainable economic growth and employment growth. And the next one is industry, increasing the exposure of industries to competition to improve efficiency. By doing so, productivity will increase, consumption will increase, economic growth will increase, AD will increase, and GDP will increase too. And that's basically all. Thank you.